team, new perspective. So why do you need a team if you haven't got a product yet that's functioning really well, or your sales isn't working well, or you're not making enough money? You might be thinking, quiet, yeah. The stream plugging directly in. But you might be thinking that, yeah, you don't need a team, but the sooner you start thinking in terms of team, in terms of systems, and even just looking at what Uncommon Success is, you're effectively bringing on board advisors to your business. You got sales advisors, you got marketing support, you got social media feedback, but you're getting a version of a team that you can use from earlier in the business than you would generally be able to afford to build out your team. So yeah, my first thoughts are that we all have this team already, and it's a question of how are we leveraging that. There are no true lone wolves in success. I think there's always a history of others who've been involved along the journey and part that they've played, value that they've played. So what does this mean for you right now? It's like, we'll leverage the people that you have around you as your team. Get feedback on, hey, how does this post look to you? Give me some feedback on this post. Give me some feedback on this sales script. Can I pitch to you? This is you having a team. So everyone effectively has a team from right now. How can you manage that team better? How can you get more out of that team? Build those relationships, and then eventually look into, okay, bring on your first staff member. At what point does that begin? Is it, and who do you bring on? Is that making sense? I'd like to, as always, we can use the hand up and we can use the chat box. The more interactive we go here, the more value there's likely to be. But really, everyone should already feel as though there is a team around what you're doing. The guys who are here in the Montenegro village, I'm looking at Andrea and Fabian and Sebastian, like they're experiencing the team thing live in action, discussing their products. But yeah, Zach, where do you see this team and business conversation going?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of different ways we could take it today. I think probably micro to macro, probably the best bet of kind of like you as the solopreneur and the resources around you to eventually having a team and kind of laying that path. I think the biggest thing you kind of like touched on it a bit is like within the resources you have in Uncom. I think the first step in having a team is understanding like what functions are required to grow your business. And you could say grow and scale, but like, what do you have to do every day, every week, every month to ensure that your product is getting in front of more people, and that when your people consume your product, it's a really good experience? So I think if you understand what has to happen, it allows you to start to look at, okay, what am I really good at? And where can I get help or feedback on? Which I think what Keegan's alluding to is like within those functions of product, operations, sales, marketing, etc. Where of those do you feel good, and where of those do you need someone to like help you? And help could either be like, hey, I need some feedback on this, or help could be like, hey, I'm not doing a good job of delivering this on a consistent basis. How do I get someone to help me with that like last 10 or 20% to ensure that I'm being consistent with it? So I think to like right now where a lot of you guys are at in like being a solopreneur and getting your business up, running and growing, it's really just first understanding like, what are you doing? And like, what is your business trying to accomplish? And like, that allows you to better utilize other people to help you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're already not really a solopreneur if you're in Uncommon Success, because you have a monthly call. You have these, you have a monthly one-to-one call. You have these calls. You have one-to-one calls with other people at similar points. And there's free consults being thrown around as well. There's free services. So there's a bunch of things there that make this different from being you versus the world as the average person getting started in business. The trick is to then, okay, if you're plugging into that, if you're practicing your sales call, if you're practicing your DM pitch with someone that you've connected with, hey, can we have this conversation in a way that I want to practice this conversation. Like same principle as with the juggling. If you want to get better at juggling and you're not throwing juggling balls, then you're full. If you want to get better at sales and you're not offering people your product, probably not that intelligent either. So, but the thing is, it's hard to get leads, right? If you don't have a ton of leads yet. So you don't want to, if you're not getting many leads, you don't want to waste your leads on practicing your sales pitch. And that's part of what we can offer. How do you get more leads? Do podcasts with other guys in Uncommon Success, do collaborative posts, go live with each other. Worst case, you're getting a ton of experience. Best case, you're cross-pollinating, you get the credibility of having an international audience. Like there's something powerful about having someone with a different accent. This is well proven. Like a lot of guys don't have their biggest success in their home country. Charles Poliquin wasn't really very big in Canada. He was much bigger in the States, come with that accent. Portal was the same deal. He didn't take off in Israel. He took off in America and around the world. And so the sooner you can leverage the international audience and market, the further you're likely to go. Is your product good enough? Again, we've got that support here for you of like, okay, test your product, test your consult. Fabian's done, how many have you done now, Fab? I see you typing away on your other stuff, but you've done like 60 tests now, is it? And how many one-to-one calls have you done?
I've done like 60. I'm working on it at the moment. 70 tests already on the neurotyping system. And how many calls? Lots. Lots.
Yeah. What does that do for your confidence?
Sorry?
I'm getting an echo. Maybe students try muting out Zach and see if it, I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm getting an echo from but it's stopped now. I don't know. Maybe it was Andrea's microphone was open. I'm not sure. What has it done for your confidence? Implementing
I feel way more confident. If you asked me that like a month ago, I would be scared to go through this and just be able to make it work. And like today, I'm working on because thanks to Seb, I am automating the answer to have like just the different neurotransmitter, and I have like the capacity of each, and then it's easy to just say like you 1A, 1B, 2A, blah, blah, blah. And like it just takes me 30 seconds to have the answer for the new one who will answer now. Because the first one I did was, I think it was Tyson, the Australian guy. And I spent like 2 hours to go through all the question and just to find out which neurotype it was. Yeah. And now it's just like, it's obvious, just in front of me. It's pretty easy.
This is what building a business is. Up front, you put a lot of time and energy into it, and it's like, man, I could be getting paid $10 an hour right now at McDonald's, and here I am getting paid nothing for all these hours of work. But you have the exponential upside that you're building. Now you have the confidence to go. I know you've got your app under construction because you've got a product now. You've got leads. You've got something valuable, and so to have that thing where 12 months from now, or 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, you've got something that's making you money while you sleep, and you've got international audience. You've made an impact all around the world. I know you're happy to sleep in your car and do what you need to do, but what if you didn't have to do that? And what if it was by choice that you go around cruising your camper van with your family and such? Like, I want you to have more options with that, and you're launching your process, like just being someone who is willing to give. We've been speaking about where you could go next with that product idea. It's not far away now that you can make more money than you've ever made. It could be next month. It could be the month after. It could be your best month ever. And you're building this rapport with 60 guys. Maybe 5 of them want to go down this path that we're talking with you, where they're using the system with clients, and they're learning how to customize workouts, and it's, the idea is everything flows from being in motion. That's the thing that I would say. And so, all of these components, you get feedback on your product, implement your product with someone, get feedback on your sales, get feedback on your marketing, test your marketing, generate marketing together with other players, you will get there. Like you will get there much faster as well. Like that's the bet that we're making here with Uncommon Success is this is going to work faster and better than any kind of education that doesn't revolve around doing. Because the thing is, it's doing, which is better than traditional education, which is mostly about you listening to what someone else did. So yeah, it's like more practical because we're telling you, hey, do it. Like you can watch the lectures if you want, but do it. But it's beyond that because you don't really learn something until you teach it. And we're getting you to teach it early on as well. And you don't have to be the best. You just have to be one of the best within Uncommon Success and ahead of other players. And you've all experienced this. You want to learn from other players. Like you have a personal connection. You have a direct connection that makes it more valuable. You trust and you want to connect. Like there's something different about learning from another uncommon player versus finding some dude on YouTube who's maybe more knowledgeable, but doesn't care about you, doesn't have any social connection. And that's the same way your business is probably going to grow. Like all of my businesses have been successful on the basis of people caring about each other, connection to each other. And that's, I mean, all the biggest brands now, people feel like they know Elon Musk or they know Joe Rogan. Like it's like they're looking at a friend. Joe Rogan starts with the hello friends. Like that's how you win. So if you've got 5 friends now, that's okay. You know, Fabian's now got 60 friends, 70 friends. Work on that basis. And I think, things are going to go well. Like be teaching. There's a lesson I was just on a phone call with Mav, who's doing our sales. He's just invested $25,000 in himself to go to another level. And he's saying like, how do I get the most out of this? Teach it 100%. Teach what you're studying and you'll learn it so much better, so much faster. So I think that's the entry level piece to this. If we start with the micro, and I'd like to hear if there's thoughts there, things coming up for you, direct actions that you can leverage more of. Maybe you've got feedback of where this has already worked for you, or you can see where you could use it better. For those who are on here, Dan, Dylan, Jan, Garrett, where can you leverage this more? Chris, where can you leverage this more for yourself? But then at some point we're going to get to that next level as well of like, all right, hiring someone. So maybe we jump to that as a conversation of when do you make your first hire? Who do you look for? How do you make that successful? Because I think that's something important to kind of look forward to as well and recognize that it can be a real accelerator for business. How many people have you had on your team there at Doxata, Zach?
We have 3 right now. So I have a development team of 3, and then we've hired people in and out. I can't say I got the hiring process right for every one of those, and I've learned a lot on that. I actually think there's a step before that applies to a lot of you guys. So I think one of the things, and I'll kind of share from my journey, like this stuff takes a lot more time than you think. I think it's really easy to see the people who are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, insert your platform of choice that you spend the majority of your time. And you're like, yeah, I hit 10, 20K, 30K, 100K months, etc. And I think what you don't see behind that is the fact that like getting up to that point can take a significant amount of time. You can compress that by doing a lot of the stuff we're talking about here, but just don't think that you're going to launch your business and in 90 days be at an arbitrary revenue point and kind of like bet the stars on that. I actually think the better place to focus for a lot of you guys is if you don't have the revenue you want coming in and you have a valuable skill or want to develop that valuable skill, I would find somebody who's doing what you want to do and try to work with them. Like get paid enough to like cover your bases and like give yourself a chance to like look at the horizon, see where you're going to be, build the skills that you want for your own business. And then with the excess time that you have, reinvest and roll those in. Because like I've had times where like things have been taken care of and we feel good. And I'm a much better CEO because of that. And then other times where like I'm footing development costs out of like my own personal money. And you're just watching that drip down like as you go, like you believe where the future's going. But having that taken care of and learning the skills you want is incredibly valuable. So I think that like if you're not making the money you want right now, it's not a bad thing to say, who can I help with the skills that I have? Let me get that buffer coming in. And that's going to allow, like when we talk about the first hiring piece, which I feel very strongly about what that should be, that's going to allow you to do that and give you the ground to do that. And the second part was like what Fab was talking about with the neurotransmitter stuff. like getting the first iteration right is also like not a one-stop shop. You're not like, here's my product, here's my offer, I'm going to put it out, everyone's going to buy it. The more time you can spend up front getting things dialed in, the better that's going to go, and it's going to go for a lot longer. You see a lot of products and people and businesses fizzle out because they just like spend a little bit of time doing something, put it out, it gets a little bit of initial traction, people realize it's not that good, that negative word of mouth cannibalizes the rest of their business they could have had. So like 2 things there: get yourself set from an income standpoint, even if that means like working for somebody else, like another creator business, another business you like. And then number 2 is get the initial product right. So like when you do go to market and you ramp that up, it's something that you're proud of. Because if not, like if you're not proud of your product, you were going to have a hell of a time trying to sell it.
Oh, hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
I think his internet's bugged out there.
Yeah.
We might have to wait till he gets to wherever he's going.
But I mean, how does that sit with you, Keegan? Because I feel like the apprenticeship model, if you look back as far as time goes, was like how people learned and like compressed knowledge really quickly. But now I think when you kind of live in the like era of like 20, 21-year-old entrepreneurs like launching agencies and popping off and like trying to set that as a standard, people kind of shit on the idea of, let me take some time, let me learn from somebody else, let me get paid to do that, and then build my own thing. Because they're just like, F this, I want to like go all in on myself and like be like that 21-year-old like rock star entrepreneur from the start.
Yeah, I'm impatient, man. I got to be honest. Like, I'm impatient with myself, and therefore I'm impatient with students and with people that I work with, and that's part of this neurotyping business as well. Is like, I tend to go fast, but not everybody does, and not everybody needs to. And even within that strategy of going fast, like it does make sense to look for opportunity where you can learn and work with someone else. I guess I had that opportunity for 4 years with the pro rugby, right? Like I was an intern before that, many years before. I wasn't on fire in those roles as much as they were cool and there were moments, but like I need to be the leader of the ship, which is probably the 1A in Fabian's world there. I really can't, like the best thing that the head coach did with the rugby team was just, okay, you look after all the physical stuff and we'll talk every few months, and I'm sure you'll do well. And and we did, because I was very driven to do it well. So that's a thing that I do impose a little bit too much potentially on others of like, you've got your speed at this. If it takes you 5 years, like, is it worth doing? If you don't answer yes to that, then you're doing the wrong thing. Like you're probably not going to get there. It's probably not going to work for you. It's like, hey, if it was going to take you 5 years to be able to do this full time, to be able to make like decent money from it, it might not, it shouldn't. But if it was, would you still do it? If the answer is no, probably not going to make it. Probably one of these guys that's going to go, okay, this week I'm drop shipping, and next week I'm doing DM sales, and the week after that I'm editing reels for someone. And you see those, like, that is the millennial, I'm entitled, give me money just because I'm young and I want money, kind of a thing. So yeah, I think that is really valuable, and 100% you're always going to be iterating on the product. So that goes both ways. Don't wait till your product is perfect to launch it, because it's never going to be perfect. You can see with Uncommon Success, we're not finished yet. If I waited till we're finished, we still wouldn't have started anything. Would that be a good thing? I don't think so. If I waited till the villages were finished to have guests, would that be a good thing? These guys have to put up with, some of the challenges that we've had here. We're changing things all the time. We're working on the villages. But if I waited till the village was perfect to have people here, it's just not my style. Like Nico, I guess, probably pulled that off with Bali, but he's able to get 15 workers there every day for $150. It's a different situation. If you can pull it off, happy days. I don't think I'll ever pull it off to have a finished product on day one that's pretty mint. And I don't think you should hold yourself to that. So on one side, just start now, sell it, do your best with it. sell it at whatever price, you know you're going to get great results with and you're comfortable with. And then the other side, know that 10 years from now, you're probably still going to feel relatively similarly about how much work there is to do on your product. Because I'm 10 years into this type of business and I still feel like it's very early in the journey.
Yeah, I think with the product, especially, very strong thoughts on that one. I think in the beginning, you need to ship really quickly because like what you're going after is not like I'm trying to make a shit ton of money. And honestly, like great case study. Big mistake I make with Doxata early on is like I charged a higher price than everyone else, which got some people in, but like I optimized for the wrong thing at the wrong time. What you're optimizing for in the beginning, and this kind of goes to the first hire talk, is getting distribution, getting feedback. Like you need feedback on the product to make it better, even if it means taking people in at a discounted rate, quote unquote, to be able to do that. Because like that allows you to kind of like go slower at the beginning, like slower trajectory to really ramp up. If you optimize for the wrong thing at the wrong time, like I'm trying to make money with a very small audience or very small distribution base, you just end up capping yourself. And like that's a ceiling you continue to push up against until you fix that problem. So I think like when you're very early on or when you're launching a new product, you need like feedback and people using it are the most important thing. Those things are tied together. More people that use it, more feedback you're going to get, the faster you're going to be able to iterate and make it better. And that speed of iteration cycle, no matter where you're at in business, is what you're trying to maximize. Can you get weekly feedback? Can you move that to daily feedback? There are some apps that you can get hourly feedback. When we were at Uber, we could get hourly, like down to the minute feedback on how things were doing and make market adjustments to swing things in that like direction. Much more sophisticated use case, but the faster feedback loop you can get, the more you can improve. It's honestly why like the people that stick to working out really do and see progress in it, because you're getting rep to rep feedback of like, hey, that felt good. Like that didn't feel good. Like that was painful. That was not painful. Like I moved fast, I moved slow. And then you're getting workout to workout feedback as well of like, hey, press this much on Monday, Thursday, like added 5 pounds to that. And like that loop allows you to stay in motion, like Keegan was saying, and build progress, which builds like momentum towards where you're going. You need to figure out where you can create that in your business to where you're getting that feedback, you understand where you're going, and you're able to keep that feedback loop really tight so you can keep building on it. It's not about like having the perfect product, but it is about like getting the iteration loop correct to where if you nail that, you're just going to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when you get on the, I will say that like speaking from the other side of the pond, when you do get to a certain point, you guys are nowhere near this because nobody has $1 billion company. My buddy works for Google and he said something that really impacted the way I do software like now. And when he was talking about features, he's like, it's not about what ships, it's what lands. So like Google, multi-billion dollar business, I think has like a chance to be $1 trillion business, is much more focused on like, how do you get stuff to like really connect? But I think it's a methodology you can start thinking about now. You don't need to just like do a bunch of shit and see what sticks. Like after you've refined your product to a certain point, you can start to figure out, given the same amount of time working on 2 things, what is going to lead to the bigger impact with that, and how do we focus on that rather than just trying doors in sequential order A, B, C, and D. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And so for where you're at right now, what is the next team step, or how do you make better use of the team environment? What's like for Doxata, what is it? And then, other guys I'd like to hear, we can get into some more specifics. I would like to hear what it is. Chris has been tuned in for some of these calls and he's been thinking a lot about his own business. He's been in business for 20 plus years. I know Jan is serious about his business at the moment. Where is that? Where are you in that at the moment? And being honest, like, well, one thing I have, because I want to share with, like, this was the advice, right, for that I was giving you of like, okay, let's get some guys from Uncommon Success like in this app and let's get them to tell you what it is that's good and what's not. And Kevin's been in there, and Jesse McJana as well. I know they've built relationships with you and they're big fans of your work now, just simply because you gave them a look to be case studies within your software. So that's a good example of Zach kind of being open to taking on feedback, suggestions from my side. And I've certainly had tons of Zach, and I'm working hard on things that he's suggesting and we're implementing in the back end of the system. So literally what we're talking about, like we're masterminding on this. We're talking about this. We're talking about how to get more out of the team, work together better within Uncommon Success staff. But yeah, for your own team there, Zach, where you've been through those phases of maybe spending too much cash, maybe investing, in staff members that weren't invested, like what do you see as your next steps as far as team goes? And then we can open up across the group here.
For sure. It's funny you mentioned that. I think on the Uncom thing, a little Uncom exclusive here. I will likely be opening up Dexata for free to any coach in Uncom for probably at least 1 to 2 months after we ship the features that need to be in place at the end of July. So if you were a coach and you're looking to get in on a software platform to help you grow your business, because that's what Dexata is, a growth platform for coaches, we will be offering that free within Uncom for you to use it with your clients, get them results and grow. Because that's like I said, that's the mistake that I made. And like, rule on mistakes, don't make it twice. So getting people in, getting feedback. So if you're in Uncom, hit me up there and we'll go ahead and set you up with an account to start using it. On the team side,
we should stick on that before we jump off, because I would advise everyone to get on that purely from a research perspective. Even if you're not sure if you need to use it yet for your clients. Honestly, Zach, like it is a big commitment for a coach to jump on your platform and get set up on there and think about having clients on there. If they're only going to be on there for 1 or 2 months free, then they're already thinking, am I going to be on this for 12 months? And what's the pricing going to be after the first couple of months? And how am I going to, is this going to pay for itself in the first couple of months to do that? And we can have a bigger discussion about how you've built it so that is the goal. Mm-hmm. But looking at it from a software perspective, and even just being able to speak with Zach on a one-to-one level, having really looked at the product, I think is a valuable time investment for anyone in Uncommon Success. If you're thinking about building an app, Fab's building an app, Seb works for us with building the Uncom apps. That I think is valuable in itself, of like, okay, let's have a look at this. And then, maybe we can have another discussion about how do we make this a really positive thing. Like if we're going to have 10, 20, 50 coaches from Uncommon Success using this app, like let's, what can we do to increase the likelihood of winning with that app? I was having a discussion with Dave O'Brien. I'm not sure if I've spoken to you about Dave O'Brien. David O'Brien is a functional medicine, functional nutrition expert, reads blood work, and then just, creates protocols on the back of that. I'm doing his protocol at the moment. I think you would have seen I've taken those mountain of supplements. Like that's thanks to Dave. He lives an hour away from where we are here. We're just at his place. Your technology with his protocols and his approach, I think is to me, it looks straight off like multi-million-dollar product. Like who's done gut health systematically, beautifully? Like he's got a depth of knowledge on gut health and using different antimicrobial agents and biofilm and negative gram bacteria and all this stuff that no one really talks about. Like people talk about fiber, other people talk about carnivore. Like there's this dumbed down conversation around digestive health. And then there's Dave O'Brien. Like he's worked with a lot of doctors, but I imagine your technology plugged into his sort of protocol, where it makes it easier for people to be compliant with the protocol, and also to give that feedback to him of like, is this making your performance better or not? It's not medical treatments, although he has worked with a lot of people who've, lost hope and lost faith and been told there's no hope for you. We're thinking about it more from the performance perspective. Most people have significant gut issues these days that are impacting mental health, adaptation to training, skin health, quality of sleep. And it's like the protocol's rough. Like it's definitely changing bodies. I know other people who've done as well. I felt like shit while I was doing it, because you're basically breaking up and killing off a bunch of stuff. But he mitigates a lot of things. And, I feel like the time has come for that sort of product. everybody should be looking to play on that level. Like everyone in Uncommon Success, I want to be talking about your product in the way I'm talking about what we should do with Dave. And the sooner we can get to work with a team and figure out how that actually works with potentially plugging in components of what Zach's doing. Like there's got to be something beautiful here, the synergies of people within Uncommon Success, that we don't have to use all the traditional business models to get things off the ground and accelerate things that are going to work. Because if they do work really big, like everyone will do fine. And the thing is, like, how do we build some serious big plays? Like if we look at Ben Patrick and ATG as the example, Real Movement put its full heart and soul behind ATG from 2019, 2020. ATG for Coaches, came out of that, but it was Real Movement that was really blasting ATG to the world. The biggest cities for ATG were Brisbane, Sydney. 3 of his top 5 cities were in Australia, and he didn't know anyone in Australia except me and my crew. And so we blasted his brand to the top. We that time can come again. We need those product ideas, and we need the execution on them to a good enough level that they can go exponential. It's not easy to do, but like we all have that opportunity right now. I think that what Fab is working on there, that idea of the neurotyping, like we've been talking about plugging neurotyping, but putting on top of using Dents and making it really systematic and clear for people to customize Dents to their own neurotype. Like you got the most efficient training system that is fun, gamified, and then you put on top of that, it's going to be personalized to your situation, circumstance. We can leave that with Fab and say, go and do what you want with that, or we can look to work more as a team and get some of these things to have other projects that do something like ATG. That's what I would love to see. So in saying that, where are we going with your team? If this was going to be you 3 years from now, 5 years from now, what do you see as far as the team development side of things goes? If this last 15 minutes of the call, let's discuss team building.
So I will finish out on the one thing that you asked me on. Yes, definitely a further discussion on this. We can set that up on exactly what we want to do with that. I think when I think about building a team, especially where you guys are at and like where we will lean into as well, the distribution is the most important thing. So getting your name in front of people that enjoy your content and you can provide value to is the thing that you need to focus on building. It's also coincidentally the thing that most people don't do, because there's a lot of stuff that is not super scalable with it, and it is kind of manual. So the way I advise all of my coaching clients as well for business, depending on where they're at, is like, as they're looking to scale up, get enough money to cover yourself and what you're doing within the business of the core service delivery. And I think your first hire should be somebody to help you deliver more content to the world, whether that's video editing, social media management, scheduling, copywriting, etc. Like if you can have someone to help you multiply your impact, you are going to get in front of more people and build a brand. Building a brand is something that it takes a long time, can take a long time. So the more time you can put it up front, the longer the runway you can build, the easier it's going to be for the plane to take off, or the heavier the plane can take off would be like the right analogy. So start focusing on distribution now. There's a really good podcast with Dickie and Cole from Ship30, who's a cohort-based learning platform around writing. I think they do cohort-based learning fantastically. I'm in their cohort right now. Everyone saw Meta launch Threads this past week, right? So saw how that they were the fastest growing app in history. They're only the fastest growing app in history because Zuck had 3 billion people that he could point at a new product and say hey, we're launching this thing. Do you want to be a part of it? They also integrated it really well. The fact that Threads by Instagram allowed you to take all the people who are on Instagram and migrate them over to this new product fairly seamlessly. So when you're building a brand, why I was referencing Dickie and Cole is because they said every product they were launching, they did you don't have to start over from zero. You have brand equity built up that people who've consumed your other products can go ahead and focus on the next thing you do. So the more you can build in a like general direction of like, this is my brand, these are the products I'm offering, this is the value I deliver, you are going to attract people that are synonymous with that. And then with every subsequent product you launch or piece of content you put out, etc., you were never going to be starting from zero. You're going to be able to keep compounding on the momentum that you've built over and over and over again. So you need to figure out taking care of yourself and the business, and then how do you multiply the value you can provide and the impact you can have via content and brand building to get more of your stuff out there.
I'd like to hear from you guys. You're tuned in there. Rob's just done his 25-day launch. Chris, Garrett, you're still driving there. It's probably better if you're not driving because it cut out last time because you're cruising along.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Please.
We're kind of hot than I think a lot of what you're talking about. We've been at it for quite a while, like you said, Keegan, and we've grown. We have revenue, and what we're trying to do right now is make sure we're making money. And I think part of what I see with Uncom is, I mean, where Uncom fits in for me is we've already have a team, but are we too bloated and are we making enough money? So moving forward, I want to be able to reach out to folks and maybe pull in as it makes sense. We're weak on the marketing side. So where can we pull in folks that'll help us do a better job there, helping build our brand? So in that sense, we are kind of a startup. We haven't really pushed our brand out there. So I feel like from that perspective, being able to reach out to people here and make connections is one of the things that I see moving forward that's going to help us.
So what does that look like? What do you, in the context of team, next actions?
Well, it's interesting because what I'm finding is, and we're kind of migrating from just a regular seller on Amazon to being more of an agency for brands. And I feel like I'm sort of making it up as I go along because we've never been an agency before. And so part of it is maybe reaching out to some folks that have done more of an agency model, because I'm not sure what the profitability looks like for an agency. Like how much time in a given month should you be spending out of the income that you're making? How do you factor those ratios? And then also figuring out how to communicate better with our existing team what the vision is. I think that's something you do a great job, just hammering home every day. This is the vision I have for this model that you're working on. And I feel like I'm doing a better job. Our mission is to help small to medium-sized businesses thrive on Amazon. And I just got to keep hammering that home because that's got a good David and Goliath feel to it, and there's a passion behind it that I feel, and I need to kind of be able to convey that passion just like you do with Uncom. I feel that from you every time you post something. Like we're building something big and important, and that's so I mean, back to your question, to be able to reach out to people here to make connections to help me get smarter about how to communicate that better to the world, because I'm a very introverted person, and to reach out and tell the world this is what we're doing, and how can we communicate that better? I think that's what I'm hoping to grow from in the next coming months.
Chris, I think two things there. One is trying to figure out the easiest way you can kind of scale, like you talking to more people, whether that is through systems, whether that's through hiring someone, whatever that is. Number two, love the ambition on the mission. I think it is way too broad because like the amount of small and medium-sized businesses there are, the amount of small businesses there are is millions upon millions on Amazon. Yep. Which I think like as a startup is going to like, you're going to have a hard time differentiating yourself there. I think I talked about this last week. Go as small as you can to capture as big of a piece of the market as you can, then expand out. Like especially with an agency or service business like that, like get very specific on who you help and what you do for them, to kind of leverage you can play with. And then once you do those two things really well, you can expand out and grow. I think like when you're building a business like that, specificity matters. if you're building a personal brand, I like to go more broad of like, here are my interests, here's the big impact, here's what we're doing over a long period of time. But I think for you, like I would challenge you, like how narrow can you go to identify those are my people? And then like within that, what are the 1 or 2 areas that you're uniquely qualified to help them based on what you've done with your own companies? And how do you just do that? It's going to make the value delivery easier, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to find the right people to work with.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have a process or a pointer to how you define a more narrowed market like that? I think that makes a lot of sense for us.
What did you build yours in?
What did I build what in?
So if you're going from like an Amazon business to an agency business, what did you build your Amazon business in?
So sporting products, is that sporting goods, outdoors?
Yep, just do that.
Okay.
Help others, like, because like you already know the ins and outs of that. So like you'll be able to help people at a very defined level on what to do.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Cool.
Thank you.
No problem. Dean, you still on the line? Who's Dylan? Get your hand up.
Yeah. I don't have like, most of my plans are still, it's an infancy phase, but talking with like Max Hernandez, he's really helped try to bring those ideas out and like, look, just start putting things down, even if it's just going to surmount to an article that hopefully you can post that maybe will help a few people. Just start writing, asking those bigger ideas out of myself of what I can specifically help someone with. And, maybe one day it'll become a good career or business. But speaking from personal experience, it's been really helpful working in Uncom to get those ideas and work on those weaknesses you have. Like Garrett and I, he's probably on his way to see me because we like to train together and we live close enough that we can do that, which is a huge advantage. And I'm a little more experienced in the training side, so I'm helping him with that. He's a lot more experienced in the gardening and very able to talk to someone and just sell something because he's just freaking passionate about it. He's very, very strong in that, and that's something I'm very weak in. So I think it's been a huge blessing to see ourselves like kind of help each other in our weaknesses and grow from that. So I just wanted to share that part and to see how it goes from there.
Solid, dude. Any input? Who's next on the feed?
It's good to hear the connection is building there. Dylan, Garrett, 100% something that helps iterate faster. Andrea, what's your current situation?
Yep.
Yep.
Did you ask me something?
I think you're good now.
I think he's dropped out. All right. Yeah, if other guys, if no one else is wanting to share their big take homes from today, would be the things that I would like to stick is like recognizing that you already have a team around you, that there is an opportunity for each of the components of your business, whether we're talking about building a brand and scaling, whether we're talking about making your product better, whether we're talking about improving the sales process, there is support here for all of that. And most people don't have that and haven't had that to be able to get started. And that's the reason why most online businesses or people are starting to get online income. It's a lot harder if you can't get feedback loops going, if you can't iterate. You're hearing that from Zach, who's worked with, who's interned at Amazon and worked with Uber Strategy. Still the thing of like getting the feedback to be able to iterate faster is key. Thinking about Facebook and Instagram and the fact of what they've done with Threads makes me think of, okay, well, what would we have to do with the Five app for us to have a 1/10,000th of the Facebook effect when we launch, Threads in effect? Like, of how do you make that thing something that 10,000 trainers, gym goers, athletes would want to have to feed it and make everything easy as far as running events, filling villages, bringing people to the pro program. That's something that's come up for me, having this conversation today. We've got this system, we've got this feedback loop around us. We need to use it. We can use it. I can use it better with the Five app. I haven't asked for feedback from pro players yet. We haven't really started to iterate too much within what we're doing there, but I can see that it really probably is the key. And even for a lot of the network effect that we want to have across this whole network, if the bigger the distribution is with the Five app, the more potential there is for what I'm talking about with Dave's product and with Fabian's product. And that's always been me. I've always been excited for other people's products. And I love what Nico's done and what Ben Patrick's done and what Lucas and Garrett, Graham Tuttle and all these guys. Like, I do think that a lot more of that can happen from within this network. And I think we're in a better position now than ever before to have more big products and big wins come out of the network. And so, focusing on that, increasing the distribution, what can we do to have a bigger pool of people internationally who understand what we're doing and are ready to get involved? And it's not just thinking of those people as, okay, they're going to be future customers. It's like, how do we enhance all of their lives as well to build rapport and build relationships? It's another version of a more scaled version of what we're doing already with the Pro app. How can we facilitate that? Because it's really a new logic that doesn't exist. It's a new way of thinking about building business. It's a new way of thinking about living, really, to sort of work through networks to get things going. Building the marketing side of things, connect with, find 5 other people that care about what you're doing. If you can't find 5 other people that care about what you're doing, it's probably not the right idea yet. Like, keep working on what the actual offer or what the idea is, but find 5 people that care and work closely with them. Connect with them at least once a month and share each other's stuff, give each other feedback, like form your, have that mastermind. And it happens often quite naturally within Uncommon Success. And it's something we can work on within the app logic. We have spoken about it, of sort of like singling out who the 5 people closest to you are in certain ways. But the opportunity is there to do that manually. And if you do that, you will have this feedback loop that Zach is talking about, that we're all talking about. And that feedback loop becomes your distribution network when the product is ready. And, I think that's the feedback that Zach has had, that the product wasn't as ready as he thought it was. And the feedback loop gives you that, okay, these people would be my distribution network, but they're saying we need to do X, Y, Z first. And that's the feedback I'm getting here in the village as well. It's like, hey, this isn't really ready for inviting lots of people here and charge, having them pay $2,000 or $4,000 a month. We're not ready for that. That's the feedback that I'm getting, and I'm aware of that. But that helps us to iterate of, okay, well, what are the biggest things? We're going to get some new towels, get some new bed sheets, make sure there's tons of toilet paper stocked in the bathrooms, like simple stuff. I haven't run a hotel before, and so it's valuable for me to get that feedback loop going. Bring people into your product, invite people to critique what you're doing, and that is the foundation for your team. From there, you're going to expand out into hiring and that deeper conversation that Zach is talking about with how much of your your revenue you invest back into your team and scaling. This is what excites me most. Like this conversation of how do we run this thing as a team. My success has been in rugby, coaching teams. The players have to do great things together. It's the same in this environment. What are your thoughts here closing out, Zach, on the discussion today, things that we've been hearing from the guys?
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. I guess the challenge I would give to everyone is like, we put a lot out there and it's kind of like, where do I start? So I think the big things is like focus and feedback. So like, where are you focused? Where are you spending your attention? And like, how are you getting feedback to improve that loop? So as far as where to focus, look at your business and figure out like, where's the weak point? Easiest way to do this is like pretty classic bottleneck analysis of like, are you getting the leads and you need to? Okay, cool. If so, then move on to sales. Are you closing the amount of people you think you should be closing? Okay, cool. Move on to your product. Is your product delivering a good experience? Are people re-signing? Are they telling friends? Like, are you growing? Like, does it deliver what it's supposed to? In that value stream, marketing, sales, product, what is the weak point you need to focus on right now? If you're not getting leads in, like nobody knows about your product, then it's marketing. If you're getting leads and you can't close people, then you need to figure out, is it a skill thing? Go talk to somebody, sell your product in Uncom, like get better that way. Or is it a product thing of like your product is just not that good, so it's really hard for you to sell? And then if you can do that consistently, people are using your product, but they're not referring, what has to be better inside your product to do that? And you just play that game 1, 2, 3 over and over and over again, because once you solve something, somebody else breaks. Or something else breaks.
100%. There's always going to be an idea of how do we do this part better, that part better. Excellent. I enjoy hearing about where we're up to, seeing the progression, knowing that the connections are happening. As Zach said earlier, it's not an overnight thing, but if you continue to come back to it, and if you're clear on the outcome that you want, eventually it's going to happen. No problem can withstand constant attention. So that's the game. Keep putting your attention back on exactly where the attention needs to be. I appreciate that. So Zach, I enjoy having these conversations. We've got Jan's given us, can't talk, I'm at the office, a lot of takeaways. I have my base level covered with everything I need, but next level is taking time to build. Decided in the call to just launch. I got a huge discount and build as I go. Also wanted to mention, important to learn all the hats to wear in business, but excited to share it with a team someday. Yeah, 100%. Like, you don't have to feel like I want to do sales calls for the rest of my life to make your first 100 sales to know that you're actually in business, because that's how it started for Ben Patrick. He was jumping on calls with anyone who was half interested in ATG online. He would jump on a call with them, and then some of them would join for $50 a month. Like, no one does sales calls for a $50 a month product, but Ben did, to get himself off the ground. And then once he had enough of them, once there was like, okay, people are signing up, then it became, I'll do a call with you once you sign up. And he was doing that for a while as well. And then it got to a point where it was like, okay, well, there's too many people here. I'm just going to respond to everyone's WhatsApp messages. And he would spend 4 to 6 hours a day on WhatsApp messages. And then he became a father, and, he's continued to build out his team, and he built out the form team and all those feedback loops. And, I know that the business is able to work without him now, but it doesn't start like that. So don't think of all the scale problems. Just think of getting busy, having something that works. And then it's going to be different once there's money. It's going to be different once there's testimonials. It's going to be different once the marketing's better, the brand's bigger. So how it starts isn't how it's going to keep going. And so, yeah, you have to be everything for a while. You have to, have times where you're doing all the components. I had that with Uncommon Success. It was a 1-man, 2-man team at different stages. And yeah, we've also now got a bigger team, and each stage has its own charm and its own challenges. It's never going to be without challenge. And that's the fun of it. Business is the best game because you get to have a lot of impact and it opens up all kinds of possibilities for your future. But it's a great self-development tool in itself. So, learning, like enjoying the struggle of it all is a good thing as well. Knowing it's not necessarily going to be an easy thing, but it's a worthy thing. That's also part of accepting it as a long journey. If you don't want that, you're probably better to have a job, and that's okay too. Or have a job on the side so you've got more security. You decide. Love it. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks Zach. Thanks team, and we will connect again very soon.
Cool. Take care, guys.
Leave it there for now.